Welcome, Bear fans, with another edition of the Bear With Us podcast. I'm Matthias Schwarzkopf, and with me, as always, again, is Aiden, Nick, and Austin. What's up, gentlemen? It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, been a minute for sure.
Life's been a lot of changes here.
It's a good time to get back together, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Perfect time. Life's been a lot of changes for you, man. Welcome back.
yeah. Still adapting, but we'll get through it. So Bears are 1-0.
want to
How's
know
everybody feeling?
all that matters. Dangerous.
Packers are coming up. Things are looking spicy. Nick, I feel like you have something to say about all this. You're pumped. I know you are.
Yeah, no, I am. I mean, this weekend was just awesome. Like I covered, first Cyhawk game for myself. That game was crazy. Cyclones won. Good for things over here. And then you guys know Noah, my brother that was on the show. I got to be honest, we both thought and maybe let our money do some talking that the Bears would win. And obviously that came to fruition. So I am feeling good. And it allows me to kind of go into Sunday, especially because the Packers lost, not, feeling a lot of pressure or worried or anything. But really, it had just been too long since we did this. And now things are actually happening. So it's a little more fun.
Austin, how are you feeling so far after a 1-0 start? Like I know you always said that you didn't really pay too much attention until the regular season started, but give us the fiery take inside your head.
I don't want to be that guy, but first off, shout out to the Bears for being the first team ever to win a game of synchronized swimming on a football field. That was unreal watching the fourth quarter of that game. I am feeling glad about being 1-0. I don't feel great about going into Green Bay just because of what they did in week one and how bad they were. And it just reminds me a lot of what happened last year where they got beat down pretty handily week one. I know the team, they seem a lot worse, but they're still Green Bay. So they're probably going to turn it around. So, worst comes to worst, we're 1-1 at the end of next weekend. But right now, I'm just going to feel good about being in first place and being 1-0.
Aiden, what about you?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that this game from this last weekend means much in terms of what we saw, I guess, because the whole game was just a mess. I think one thing, our defensive line, you can take away and say that they played well, but offensively, not a whole lot there, I guess.
I think the thing offensively you can take away is like the adjustments that at least were made in the second half. Like, like when Matt Nagy was head coach, like things just never changed at halftime, right? It was always like the scheme. He thought that guys would work themselves open because the scheme would get them there, right? Whereas like with Getz, he at least made the adjustment to where, the play calls that he was using, obviously the scheme got them open, but also like it was an adjustment of the play calling strategy that he used, and they adapted as the game went on. Obviously, the first half was that's the most snaps that those guys played in a game, and the 49ers really were trying to like make the Bears pass, and they didn't really seem like they wanted to, obviously because it was a monsoon out there. So, they kind of got the offensive line obviously came a little bit together here in the second half of the game and created some holes in the run game, and it allowed them to, have and obviously hitting some deep pass to Pettis along the sideline, kind of opened up things a little bit too, where they had to kind of back off and respect the passing game too. So, it was nice to see the adjustments Leafs made. And, obviously that pass to Pettis, that was basically all Fields because Braxton Jones kind of got beat by Armstead, and then the two guys tripped over each other. But, credit to Fields, he spun away from Armstead, got out to where he could see Pettis down the other sideline across his body, making that throw for whatever, how many yards it was, but it was like, 51-yard touchdown catch and run. So credit to him for doing that. But yeah, the adjustments and then that touchdown pass to Equimania St. Brown, like that was, he had Byron Pringle wide open on the other corner of the end zone, but he also had, Pettis wide open after he froze the safety. You can go back and look and you can see the safety get bunched down. He's like, crap, where do I go? And then it was game over from there, just over the top right from that point. So, yeah.
Well,
get to see a little bit of both. We got to see the Justin Fields effect of just how great it is to have a supreme athlete as our quarterback, where that Pettis play, he just makes a play that, no offense to Aiden, and he's buffering, so he won't hear this, but like Mitch Trubisky can't do that. Mitch Trubisky might have been an athlete that could get away from pressure, but he doesn't see that guy down the field. And then the second touchdown is schemed up for two guys that were open on the play. Just take your pick. Fields hits the throw. Nice, easy one. So one play where Fields just does it all on his own, and then another play where the offense or the play call and the scheme actually gets us an easy one, which is something we never got easy ones under Matt Nagy.
Well, and you guys hit on, naturally, probably two of my three biggest takeaways of the game. I'll save one, but the Fields effect, the stats won't necessarily, impress you too much. Obviously, you take into account the weather and that defense, things like that. But I felt like his decision-making was pretty good. I felt that his accuracy was really good in the second half. And you guys are exactly right, Matthias. You made a great point about, or I believe it was you, about freezing the safety.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that often takes a couple years to develop in terms of NFL quarterbacks. I'm not surprised. Fields is doing it already. You guys know I'm probably even a little too high on him, but that was just encouraging to see. And then Getsy, I felt like his play calling was 85, 90% perfect in the second half, not only working to kind of the strengths of Fields, but knowing when to be aggressive, when to just try to kind of run up the ball a little bit, kind of bring down the time, because the defense was playing so well. They didn't have to necessarily force it and be so aggressive. I was impressed. And then I'll just throw in the third takeaway was, I'm going to say the defense as a whole, but a little more specifically, I think they play a little bit beyond their years. We've talked about it a little bit about Brisker. Robinson looks awesome.
That dude's a problem.
And even offensively, you mentioned Jones and maybe a negative play, but I thought the O-line as a whole in that second half, I know you're huge on that, Matthias. I thought that they were at least a very much formidable unit. And I think that if the Bears get that this year, just based on how this regime handles themselves and how competitive Fields and Roquan and guys like that are, Eddie Jackson, I think the team will surprise some people. I stand by it. I don't think they're going to win, 9-10 games, but that 7-ish range wouldn't shock me in the slightest. They just beat one of the top 8 or 9 rosters in the NFL.
Yeah, I'd probably be right there with you in that 7 win range, obviously. But if they beat Green Bay, you're probably, you can start thinking about it a little bit more. But
you can,
it's probably fair to say. But in terms of the offensive line, Braxton Jones had the 2 really bad plays, I guess, that the offensive line had the most. Obviously, he got beat by Joey Bosa there early on in the first half, actually the first quarter. That led to that sack, and then obviously the one Armstead got right by him, no problem. But after that, for the most part, Braxton Jones really wasn't like a guy that was being pointed out for making issues. Now, some of the other pressures were coming up the middle, were in between, whether it was Mustafa or Tevin Jenkins, and they're obviously rotating Tevin Jenkins and Lucas Patrick. But I think that was more so just to keep Lucas Patrick kind of like fresh, because he didn't have the preseason because of his broken thumb. So get that guy back in there and put him at center, you're probably going to have a pretty decent offensive line. I hope that's what they're going to still do. Mustafa wasn't an issue, but there's a lot more upside to the offense.
How much does it hurt you to say that?
It burns a lot. But if you get that back in there, your talent level goes up, and if they're still playing it, I still don't have the utmost confidence that they're still doing Tevin Jenkins right. Are they going to pull him? Are they going to put Lucas Patrick at right guard? I don't know. It just seems like but Tevin Jenkins is always on the hot seat for something, and he doesn't do anything wrong.
But and honestly, as much as I played football and I'm pretty confident, I will kind of defer to you guys and you especially, Matthias, with O-line play. But I liked a lot of what I saw from Jenkins. I think that the film is starting to match some of the potential that he showed at Oklahoma State. I really do.
Yeah, and he had a top 10 rating in the Pro Football Focus offensive line. Now you can take that for what it is, because clearly you look at their quarterback rankings this week, and Patrick Mahomes tossing 5 touchdowns, and he was ranked 8th. Come on, it just depends on who's really grading those. I mean, a lot of the times those guys are like, it seems like they're like college kids just coming out and like getting a reporting job, and they're grading these guys. Like, come on.
Honestly, you're not too far from the truth, at least for some guys I know. But I think it's the type of thing where they generally, I think, know the game. And the fact that if you're kind of graded up there, I think you kind of take it well. And then as we saw maybe with some of the Cyclones guys that, the ratings were maybe below the eye test, maybe you trust the eye test more. But truly, I liked a lot of what I saw about Jenkins. I don't think that they're going to kind of screw him over. I just can't see them not playing him. Like, I think Patrick at center is just kind of a natural fit. Jenkins has looked at least average at right guard, and then you kind of go from there as a unit.
Yep. And then to go out further on the tight end spot, I mean, Cole Kmet had 0 catches, but I'm like, I don't even like, I kind of want to take like everything other than like the 2 big plays, because it was just guys making good plays, and the touch on the Equimania St. Brown, kind of a nice scheme play. But like for the most part, like offensively, you toss everything out from this game because it was just a mess. And like
didn't Mooney only have 1 catch?
Yeah. And like, guys are really hard.
Mooney only had like 1 target.
Mhm.
Like we basically, we San Francisco with arguably our 2 best offensive weapons doing nothing.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of talk about the running backs. There's always these fans clamoring for Khalil Herbert. And you look at David Montgomery's stats. He had 1.5 yard average at like 17 carries and 26 yards. But like that's a lot of those carries was when the Bears were ramming it right into the defensive line of the Niners, and they were stacking 8 or 9 in the box at the beginning of the game. So a lot of context into that.
That's a great defensive line that we went against.
Mm-hmm.
So if the offensive line didn't look perfect and we couldn't create running lanes, I mean, San Francisco is going to do that to a lot of teams.
But see, that's the thing. They opened it up when they finally started hitting some passes, and that's the thing we just didn't see a whole lot in the Nagy areas. That there was no threat to throw the ball downfield, so everything was just up front, and it forced the Bears to run into steel walls. So if you can get fields rolling, things are going to open up for every running back on the Bears team.
Well, it was just kind of the type of thing where it felt like once the pass opened up some of the running lanes, Herbert just happened to be in for some of those guys. And he's a good back. Like, I like him, and kind of now I have this extra level of bias towards Montgomery, obviously being here with Iowa State, but I still feel that he's a top 11 to 14 back in the league. I really do, because he can do it all. Maybe not the high-end kind of top-end straight line speed, but I like a lot of what he can do, and I think that they're actually going to get some chances against Green Bay.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean,
having 2 good running backs isn't, it's a good thing.
Right.
If it's not, hey, Dave Montgomery, we're going to make you wear down the defensive line, and then Herbert's going to get carries when they're tired. When they mix and match, the stats will look a lot more even, I believe.
I really think they have good, 3 good running backs, because Tristan Ebner, I mean, that type of run scheme that they're running with that stretch zone, that's what he ran at Baylor last year. So it's a natural fit for him too. So I don't know how much they're wanting to use him right now. I mean, he's just coming off an injury too, but I mean, he's a pretty speedy guy. So they got some options to use.
Aiden, deep down, could Mitch Trubisky win that game?
Mitch could win any game, so I think yes.
Jesus,
I don't think that one. But
by the way,
dude,
Mitch played well for the Steelers.
I was gonna say, I'm happy for you. My brother and I were pulling for the Steelers in that game. It's been cool to see, and I know this is a Bears focused show, but I just want to throw out a question that obviously relates to the Bears. Trey Lance, who I think has all the talent in the world, wasn't terrible, but he didn't look great. Do you guys feel that was a little more the Bears defense? Do you feel that was just kind of the weather conditions? What do you think that really was? Because I think our back, 4 or 5 guys on the back line of secondary looked good.
He looked really comfortable when that game started. And that's when the 49ers offense was running in rhythm and was making the plays. And like I was just thinking, like, all these people were on Twitter were saying, well, the Bears offense can't get going because of the weather. Well, I mean, both teams are playing on the same field, and the 49ers are hitting chunk plays pretty early in the game. But as the game went on, it's kind of like, what Matt Eberflus always says, it's having the mental and stamina ability to last longer than any other team in the league. And I think we kind of saw that take place with this Bears defense, was that they just kept coming and coming and coming. And eventually that defensive line, I mean, they hardly blitzed that game, maybe if not at all. And Watts, the guy that they picked up from Minnesota, was in the backfield the entire game. Dominique Robinson owned a all-pro left tackle because he said he watched film and he could know if he took 2 steps back on his kicks, it was going to be a pass play. So he picked up that stuff. I mean, that's a rookie that was a wide receiver at 1.2 years
And that's
ago.
one that we weren't doing the show yet, but I told Noah, who you guys know now, that was one of my 2 favorite Bears draft picks. I swear to you, him and Brisker. You know, since the draft, I've been high on Brisker. I've got a lot of friends that watch more Big Ten even than I did, but I think Robinson could be special.
Yeah, and the Bears media on 670 The Score specifically, like Dan Bernstein, I know he always makes fun of guys that uses acronyms for like their coaching styles, right? And when he found out that Matt Eberflus used the HITS principle, he started laughing because he's like, this is the dumbest thing ever. And it showed up in week 1 right away. And like now they've all flipped their kind of mentality on 670 The Score this week, and they're all like, whoa, it's kind of real. So, and to our point earlier, talking about like the Bears may not win 9 games, right? But they're going to be a tough out because they are there at the end, because everybody is physically built to last that long into a game and will play that hard. So I think that was a lot of it. That's that they just kept firing and they weren't tired. Kind of like, they just wore down that 49ers offensive line. And that's what they're going to have to do against the Packers if they want a shot to be in the game at the end. So that's what I'm chalking it up to.
No, I completely agree. I don't think that they're going to be the more talented team in 85-90% of their games, but I think that they have a high floor, not only based off of, kind of the principles that you hit on, but I do think that there's enough high-level talent at some of the most important positions.
Mm-hmm.
Fields is going to get there. We just talked about the multiple backs. I still think Moody's a top 20, 22 guy in the league, maybe 25. And obviously there are still some Pro Bowlers or former Pro Bowlers on the defense, at least 4 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be more exciting brand of football to watch, because even just the discipline factor of the HITS principle, right? It showed up. They didn't have the near amount of the penalties the 49ers did. The 49ers had 99 total yards in penalties. It's the hidden yard factor. And the years prior, it was always against the Bears. And this year, a team was making those mistakes against the Bears, and they weren't. I mean, this is a young team that is disciplined as ever so far. And it showed all the way through the preseason too. It's just nuts. So I think that's why, I mean, a lot of it's just going to be a little more enjoyable to watch, even if they could lose the game at the end. But, we'll see if the HITS principle really gets put to the test against the Packers this week.
I loved seeing one of our few kind of older veterans that have been with Chicago for a while, Cody Whitehair, celebrating with Fields at the end. That, you guys know I like the emotional aspect as well. I thought that was pretty cool. And I do think it symbolizes a little something in just terms of togetherness of the team.
So we're kind of rounding up here on the 20-minute mark here, but let's shift gears really quick and do a quick preview of the Bears Packers Sunday Night Football. So I'll kind of take it around the horn here, Nick. You can give us a few keys of what you want to see happen. How can the Bears attack the Packers, and what you ultimately see happening, and then we'll go to Austin and then Aiden through the end.
Yeah, 100%. So as much as we've talked about Fields, and I want to see more of Mooney, one of my favorite players and fantasy reasons and otherwise, I don't think you want to get into kind of a passing contest against the Packers. So I think that establishing the run game a little more consistently is going to be huge. I don't think that the Packers have an easy D-line by any means. I don't think it's quite at San Francisco's level. I also feel that Montgomery will get into some more open space just based on the weather and how things shape up. So that's one big thing for me offensively. And then defensively, you made a good point, Matthias. I think I saw it was, less than 2 or 3 blitz plays for the Bears, and they were still able to get that type of pressure. I think there's going to be an opportunity for that as well this week because I believe I saw that the Packers' 2 best offensive linemen, I think I saw at least one of them doubtful. And
David Bakhtiari, and then the other one, they are, as of now, expected to not play.
Jenkins,
that could change.
Yep, Elton Jenkins. Yeah, he's really good too. I think he's got a really good ceiling as well. And so I just feel that if that pressure is able to get there, Aaron Rodgers did not look good week 1. Not even by most quarterback standards, just, even for him. He didn't look great. I think there's a way for the Bears to get pressure. The Packers don't have that Devontae Adams level wide receiver. And so I feel that those are my 2 biggest keys specifically for this game. As much as I'd love to see 2-0, I do, try to be honest with really all my teams. And I feel that the Bears will probably lose, but the more I've thought about it and looked into things, I think it'll be a little bit of a closer loss just based on that high floor and the way Fields can make some of those plays against an injured team.
All right, Austin.
I'm trying to think of like some stuff I could say about Rodgers that I don't know, probably inappropriate. So the most important thing is just going to be
prison.
Yeah, put him under the jail. You just got to make him uncomfortable. The receivers cannot get open. I mean, their whole game plan is going to be predicated on running the ball and throwing these swing passes out to their running backs. So can we make Rodgers uncomfortable? Can we tackle in open space when they flip it out to the running backs? Offensively, I just want to see what we look like on a field that's not like a swimming pool, basically. How do we block when we actually have good footing? Can we open up some running lanes for David Montgomery? Can Justin Fields have a little bit more time? Can we get Mooney involved? I mean, I still don't think we're in a position where I can say, oh yeah, we're going to go to Green Bay and we're going to compete. Like it's a big spread. It's like a 10-point spread in favor of the Packers. I would still probably take the Packers at that number, but am I like, if the Bears lose by a touchdown, am I going to be totally surprised? No, not at all. So I don't know. I guess that's what I got.
Aiden.
So to go off Keeney's point, I think I am excited to see the offense actually be able to do something. I mean, looking at our touchdowns, they were all just kind of broken plays, I guess. Maybe not the Khalil Herbert, but 2 passing touchdowns.
St. Brown wasn't broken, boy.
Yes, but the whole game was broken, boy.
Carry on.
So, yeah, I'm excited to see the offense. I don't know if we'll be able to pull out a W, but this is probably the most confident I've been against the Packers in several years, which honestly doesn't mean a whole lot because it's still pretty low confidence level. But to go to Nick's point, I am kind of interested to see if teams start to run more cover 0, because Devontae Adams was a cover 0 breaker every time Noah could run, and if he did, it was an automatic touchdown. So I'm interested to see if the Bears start sending some pressure at Aaron Rodgers, and maybe that'll make a difference. Maybe it won't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how well the offense. I don't know how well the offense is going to look. I'll just hope and pray at that point. They just need more reps and things going and not in a swamp, as we've alluded to already. But I really think this defense is going to have some success against this Packers offense. Now, if Christian Watson is a speed guy, right? And he blew by Patrick Peterson like it was no other when he dropped that touchdown pass that Rodgers hit him right in the breadbasket and just dropped it.
I still need to see that play, by the way.
Yeah,
Patrick Peterson's old.
I know, but it's still an all-pro guy that knows how to cover some scrub from North Dakota State. So, if that guy gets behind it and he can actually catch the ball, that could be problems. But none of the wide receivers outside of the speed and the speed factor worry me. If Alan Lazard's healthy, that's probably going to help him, but it's still not a guy that's going to blow the top off your defense. And Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson played really well, played all the snaps in the game. Kendall Vildor didn't make a seemingly horrendous mistake in this game.
Johnson looked awesome, by the way.
Yeah, so that's good to see in this. Eddie Jackson seems to be fresh, rejuvenated. He's got that pick off his back already in week 1, so let's see what he can do. Jaquan Brisker, another game under his belt. And if there's a game where these guys can get pressure on an offensive line that seemingly looks broken, and I don't think it's going to be fixed in 1 week, no matter how, we always see the Packers make that jump in week 2, but there's still going to be some factors that the Bears can exploit if this offense or defensive line plays like they did against the 49ers offensive line. I know the 49ers offensive line has some interior issues, but a lot of the pressures that the Bears generated came from the outside on an all-pro tackle. And then the other McGlinchey, I think is his name, from Notre Dame, that plays at their right tackle spot for 49ers. He's no slouch either. So I mean, they put some work on it, and you got your guy that's a Bears all-time season sack holder leader in Robert Quinn. He looked pretty good getting pressure. He didn't get a sack, but he was getting through the tackles pretty easily on Sunday as well. So if the 2 tackles are out for the Packers, I think they're going to have, you make Rodgers uncomfortable. And now the other downside of that is, Rodgers has made a lot of big plays when he gets pushed out of the pocket. So that's where the coverage factor comes in. And if these guys are, play like they did against Minnesota, the wide receivers for Packers, I think the Bears will be just fine. Now, we can assume that's probably not going to happen. So I think the Bears defense will have some success. I don't think it's going to be one of those games where they're getting beat by 24 points like we've seen in the past. If the Bears offense can be somewhat, okay and not make a error like they have in years past, they'll be just fine. And, maybe come out with a 7-point loss or a 4-point loss, whatever it may be. So if you can create a couple turnovers, maybe you find your way leaving Lambeau with an upset victory again, and the narrative starts changing. I mean, this basically is a game for the Bears to change the narrative entirely for their season in the national media aspect. You beat Green Bay, things change.
I think, and I like that point, I think it can only go positively, though, right? In terms of the narrative, because they're not expected to win.
Correct.
They already did that week 1, and now people love to kind of jump on upset Aaron Rodgers, Packers at home. They lost week 1. So I like what you're saying a lot. You're right. I mean, I think you guys remember I was already a little higher on this team just because of some of the key pieces, but yeah, if they win this game, we can start talking about a potential wild card.
The thing is, it's like the national media still expects the Bears to be shit.
Yeah, we get to play the disrespect card still.
They're still coming out in the media saying, well, the weather was a factor. That's why the 49ers didn't play their A game, blah, blah, blah. And they're not, putting in the factor that both teams played on the same field. That's completely out the window. Now they're like, oh, Aaron Rodgers has his back against the wall already. He's going to come out a lot better. Well, nobody's saying that the Bears did anything good. They're not giving him any credit, so you still play that card. So I think Eberflus will have him motivated. And, that's a thing. When Ryan Poles, when he was hired, said, I want to take the North and take it back and not give it back. Damn well they had this game circled on the schedule that they're going to put everything into the cards. This is like when Lovie Smith was hired and he said, I want to beat Green Bay. First week he goes out and beats Green Bay. So this is your moment, man. So you can make your case for, this team's will be a lot better than what people think right away in 2 weeks against 2 of the better teams, or supposed to be the 2 of the better teams in the NFC. So do we want to talk Arlington Heights real quick? Nick, you have something to say about that?
Just that the more realistic it seems, and thinking about kind of the long-term possibilities with the Bears and, of course, my fandom, I'm not as against it as I know I was vehemently with you guys a good 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think that there can genuinely be a lot of good that comes out of it while still having it represent the city of Chicago, which was the most important part to me. But I think fan experience, the respect of, the league. And what really got me excited is, obviously you guys know I'm probably as big of a basketball fan, if not more. The idea to really go all out and potentially have huge events like the Final Four and things like that there, because that, of course, will still help the city of Chicago.
He's lying. He doesn't like all those points. He saw the monsoon in Soldier Field, and he's like, I'm out. That's 100% fact what it was.
The slip and slide was cool, though, yeah? Keeney?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was cool.
I hate it here.
If anybody doesn't like that, they're just a fun hater.
There is a pretty sweet photo. Let's see if I can find it really quick. But
I will admit, for like 5 seconds, I was like, "Wait, Justin, please don't hurt yourself." Running on this disaster of a field.
Here, I'll see if I can show it real quick.
Is it the one of Field standing up, Matthias?
Yeah, this one right here. Like, this one needs to be framed forever.
Oh, I think I saw this one too. Yeah, yes. With Fields and Cody too.
Yep. There's Lucas Patrick and his stub. Yep. So frame that forever. Get it signed by Justin Fields if you
Hang
can.
it in the Louvre.
Hang it in the Louvre. So, do you guys want to give a quick prediction of the final score if you want, or you guys all? I mean, I think you all chose the Packers.
I'm down for one, yeah, because I came up with one earlier. I actually don't know what the over-under for the game is. I'd guess it's higher than this, and that just kind of lines up with how I think this game will go in terms of clock management, two certainly respectable defenses. I've got the Packers winning by a score, 24-17 at home.
Keeney?
Yeah, I think I said I'd take Green Bay minus the 10. I don't know what the over-under is either, so we'll just say Green Bay by 11. I won't give you a score.
Aiden?
I have the Packers winning 28-23, and the Bears are going to start up 23-0.
Nope, don't like that.
And yeah, yep.
Get him out of here. Choosing chaos agent over here. I got Packers 17-14.
Can I see? Let me just see what the over-under is real quick. Take me 5 more seconds. All right, so yeah, it's an even 10 right now, Keeney, the line. So it has gone down a little bit since Sunday. It opened at 11.
It's the hits principle, man.
Oh, wow. Okay, my score was pretty close. Wow. 42.5. Jeez. Okay, they're thinking a lot like we are in terms of the defense.
32.5. 32 of those 32.5 or 42.5 is going to be scored by Green Bay.
No. It can't be that bad. I don't think so.
One would think, but we've seen some pretty gnarly things in Bears Packers on Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, one thing about that too. Why do they keep doing this to us? Putting us on the national stage. I know. At least it's not week 1, but still.
National stage, Sunday Night Football in Lambeau.
Assault.
Every time.
If we get this one somehow, you turn the narrative, and
yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's national broadcast. You can flip the script real quick.
The Bears turn out to be pretty good, then we won't have to play just the Packers in primetime, because that's our rival, and that's the only team that can put us on, them or the Vikings.
I'm gonna end on a what if though, but what if they win 9 games, make a wild card spot, and still have $125 million in cap space?
Dangerous.
That's the Bengals. We're the team with the second-year quarterback and not a ton of talent, but the quarterback just steps up and proves everybody wrong.
That would be
use that cap space and everything else to make the offense better.
They would be a favorite to maybe be a Super Bowl contender if depending what they did with that $125 million cap space.
Without a doubt. I'm sticking with it, guys. I still think that they're going to contend next year, at least for the NFC North title. I really do. Is it 125, Matthias?
Yeah, it'll be north of 100 for sure. depending on some other things that shake out. But
Ryan Pace would sign like 10 tight ends and a 34-year-old defensive end with that space. So
For the culture.
Polls can only be better.
Give me a top wideout, top pass rusher. Let's roll.
yeah, I think they're really going to have to target the draft for a wideout though, because like none of the free
Yeah.
agents for next year are that
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, the top dudes have really kind of extended. Yep.
Yeah, someone will get mad. Someone will get mad
True.
and say, I don't want to be here anymore.
True. But then you got to trade draft capital for that.
It's a first-round pick for a great wide receiver. We have money to pay him. Why not?
Polls ain't doing it.
We should sign that Robinson guy from LA.
He
that
seems
guy, if
miserable.
he just had a good quarterback to play with, maybe he'd finally get things opened up.
That dude, I mean, you could tell the changes last year that he just hated it here, but then like it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
he's
absolutely.
doing the same thing in LA right now. Like he was just like running half-ass routes. It's like, what are you doing?
This weekend is going to show me a lot about what his season is going to look like. I believe they just play the Falcons at home.
Yeah.
I think the Falcons are, going to fight as they showed in week 1, but that secondary is not necessarily top
If
tier,
you don't have a big weekend, then it's probably not meant to be for this season for him.
honestly, which kind of like Aiden with Mitch, I'm still a huge A-Rob guy. I mean, he was one of my favorite players in a couple of those fun years.
So, well, we'll wrap it up here, guys. Thanks for hopping on, and hopefully we're back next week to talk about a Bears victory over the Packers, but we'll see. So you guys have a good rest of the week.